Novella Nightmares.
The Unforgotten Journey. In the glowing ember of summer's end, under the expansive skies that bridge the borders between nations, my wife, Betty, and I embarked on a journey. It was a journey conceived in love, a belated celebration of our union that promised the comfort of the familiar and the thrill of the undiscovered. We were buoyed by the hopeful spirit of a honeymoon deferred, eager to etch new memories into the canvas of our shared life. The car, packed with essentials and some whims of fancy, was more than just a vehicle. It was a vessel of our dreams, cruising along the veins of a land so vast and varied. The road stretched before us like a promise, each mile a step further into our shared future. The landscapes of September, dressed in the early signs of fall, whispered tales of change, of cycles in the endless dance of time. Yet, within this tapestry of natural beauty and anticipation, as we drove, laughing and loving, planning and dreaming, we could not have imagined that we were on the cusp of an encounter so profound, so unsettling, it would forever alter the course of our lives. This is not just a story of a trip. It is the account of a journey into the unknown, a tale that intertwines the essence of our humanity with the enigma of the cosmos. It is a narrative of love and fear, of curiosity and dread, a testament to the indomitable spirit of two souls bound together in the face of the inexplicable. As I recount this tale, I invite you to journey with us, to feel the fabric of the night that enveloped us, to gaze into the unfathomable depths of the sky that watched over our passage. This is our story, a chronicle of our encounter with the unknown, an odyssey that transcends the boundaries of belief, a saga that remains, even to this day, the unforgotten journey. As the landscapes of Lancaster unfolded before us, a serene tapestry under the cloak of night, it was Betty's voice that shattered the silence. Her words tinged with a mixture of awe and uncertainty.
Barney, look at that.
Pointing towards a bright light that punctured the darkness with an intensity that seemed out of place against the backdrop of stars. My initial reaction was one of skepticism, a disbelief that what we were witnessing was anything beyond the mundane. An aircraft, perhaps, or a satellite tracing its silent path across the sky. Yet as the miles slipped away beneath us on US Route 3, that light persisted, a constant companion in our journey through the night. It was more than just a point in the sky. It seemed to be following us, a silent observer matching our speed, our turns, with an eerie precision. Betty's curiosity transformed into concern, her questions echoing in the confined space of our car, bouncing off the windows and settling heavily in my chest. I could no longer dismiss her observations as mere fancy. The light had evolved, morphed into something that defied logical explanation. It was no longer just a light but a spinning disc, a craft of some kind that hovered with an otherworldly grace. It was as if the universe itself had opened up, revealing secrets meant for other worlds, not for two souls on a late honeymoon drive through New Hampshire. The decision to stop the car was impulsive, driven by a need to understand, to confront this mystery head-on. I remember the feel of the gun, cool and heavy beneath the seat, a token of protection against an undefined threat. It was a gesture of defiance, perhaps, or a desperate bid for control in a situation that was rapidly spiraling beyond our understanding. With the car parked on the side of the road, the night enveloped us in its embrace, a silence so profound it seemed to muffle the beat of our hearts. The air was crisp, charged with anticipation, as I stepped out, binoculars in hand, and directed my gaze towards the hovering disc. What I saw through the lens was a revelation, a moment of terrifying clarity that would haunt my dreams for years to come. There, in the cold expanse of space, the disc loomed large, its edges blurred by the spinning motion, but it was what lay beyond the windows of the craft that seized my soul with fear. Beings, creatures clad in uniforms of an unknown design, their eyes fixed upon me with an intensity that felt almost physical. It was a gaze that spoke of intelligence, of curiosity, perhaps, but also of an otherness that was profoundly alien. My heart raced, pounding against my ribcage as if seeking escape from the unfolding nightmare. I attempted to raise the gun, a feeble attempt at asserting some semblance of control. But my limbs refused to cooperate, seized by a paralysis that was as much mental as it was physical. Fear, raw and primal, coursed through me, a tidal wave that threatened to sweep away the last vestiges of my composure. Under the celestial tapestry, with stars as my silent witness, I stood frozen, the chilling grip of fear rooting me to the spot. The gun, once a symbol of my resolve, now lay useless by my side, its weight inconsequential against the magnitude of what loomed above. Through the binoculars, the spinning disc was a spectacle of otherworldly engineering, its structure defying the laws of physics as I knew them. But it was the occupants of this craft, visible through the illuminated windows, who held my gaze, their presence a profound mystery that pierced the very core of my being. These beings, with their eyes that seemed to see into me, stirred a primal dread I could not shake. Their forms, though humanoid, bore an inelegance and a strangeness that belonged to another world, another reality. I could not fathom their intentions, whether benign or malevolent, but the sheer alienness of their appearance elicited a visceral reaction, a deep-seated fear of the unknown that I could neither control nor understand. The disc itself, a marvel of technology, spun with a hypnotic grace, its movement smooth and deliberate. It hovered with an eerie stillness that contradicted its spinning motion, a silent sentinel in the night sky. The light it cast was not harsh but otherworldly, illuminating the surroundings with a glow that seemed to alter the very texture of the night. As I stood there, transfixed, the realization dawned on me that we were not merely observers in this encounter. We were part of something much greater, a cosmic event that had chosen us as its participants. The notion was both exhilarating and terrifying, a paradox that sent my thoughts spiraling into the realms of speculation and wonder. The beings inside the disc appeared to be observing me just as intently, their gaze an unspoken communication that bridged the vast divide between our worlds. What were they thinking, I wondered? Was this encounter a mere curiosity for them? Or did they seek something more, something deeper from this unexpected meeting? My heart pounded in my chest, a staccato rhythm that mirrored the tumultuous storm of emotions within me. Fear, curiosity, awe, and a profound sense of vulnerability swirled within, a maelstrom of feeling that left me breathless. And then, as suddenly as it appeared, the disc began to ascend, its movement graceful and silent, retreating into the vastness of the night sky. I watched, a sense of loss mingling with relief, as the craft disappeared from view, leaving behind a night that felt altered, charged with an energy that was palpable. The encounter, brief though it had been, had changed something fundamental within me, a shift in perception that I could not yet fully comprehend. With trembling hands, I abandoned the binoculars and returned to the car where Betty awaited, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and fascination.
Barney, what did you see?
She asked, her voice barely above a whisper, as if speaking too loudly might shatter the fragile reality we found ourselves in. I struggled to find the words, to articulate the enormity of what I had witnessed.
They were watching us,
I managed to say, my voice tinged with awe and a deep-seated fear.
just as we were watching them.
The drive away from the site of our encounter was a blur of motion and emotion, a frenetic escape from a reality we could scarcely comprehend. My hands gripped the steering wheel with a force born of fear. The car a mere extension of my desperate need to flee, to put distance between us and the inexplicable event that had shattered our peaceful night. Beside me, Betty sat in stunned silence, her body tense, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and wonder. Neither of us spoke. Words seemed inadequate, trivial in the face of what we had just experienced. As the miles unfolded before us, the urgency of our flight merged with the night's deepening quiet, a stark contrast to the chaos of emotions churning within. The initial surge of adrenaline that had fueled our escape gradually ebbed, leaving in its wake a pervasive sense of unease, a lingering dread that clung to us like the shadows that flitted across the road. The further we drove, the more the night seemed to envelop us, a cloak of darkness that was both a comfort and a curse. It was in this state of heightened tension and exhaustion that a strange phenomenon began to take hold. A drowsiness, unbidden and irresistible, crept upon us. The seductive pull drawing us deeper into its embrace. The world around us seemed to fade, the edges of reality blurring into a dreamscape where time and space lost their meaning. This drowsiness was unlike any tiredness we had known before. It was as if our very consciousness was being siphoned away, leaving us adrift in a limbo between waking and sleeping. We fought against it, struggling to maintain our grip on awareness, but the force was overwhelming, inexorable in its advance. And then, as if crossing a threshold into the unknown, we surrendered to the oblivion that beckoned. The car continued its journey, a ghostly vessel navigating the empty roads, but our minds were elsewhere, ensnared in a void where the events of the night played out in fragments of dreams and half-remembered visions. When awareness returned, it was gradual, like emerging from a deep sea into the light of dawn. The world came back into focus, the familiar contours of the road greeting us like old friends. But with consciousness came the realization that something was amiss. Time had slipped away from us, hours lost to the void, a blank in our memory that no effort of will could reclaim. Confusion reigned as we tried to piece together the fragments of our journey to account for the missing hours that stood between our flight and our return to the realm of the known. The car seemed to have carried us through the night on its own accord, delivering us to safety while we traversed the landscapes of our unconscious minds. As the first light of dawn tinged the sky with hues of pink and gold, we found ourselves on a familiar road, nearing home. Yet the sense of relief that should have accompanied this realization was absent. Instead, there was a gnawing feeling of unease, a sense that what had transpired in the lost hours was of profound significance. A mystery that lay just beyond the reach of our understanding. The veil of forgetfulness that had descended upon us was impenetrable, a barrier to the truth of our experience. Yet even in the absence of memory, there were tangible reminders of our encounter. The physical evidence of our ordeal, the traces of our flight, were all too real, a testament to the reality of the experience that had eluded our conscious minds. As we pulled into the driveway of our home, the sanctuary of the familiar offered little comfort. We were changed, altered in ways we could not yet fathom. The encounter with the spinning disc, the beings that had observed us from their otherworldly craft, had set us on a path of discovery, a journey into the unknown that was just only beginning. The escape from the site of our encounter was but the first step in a much longer odyssey, a quest for understanding that would challenge our perceptions of reality and our place within the cosmos. The threshold of our home, once a boundary between the mundane and the scared, now felt like the edge of a different reality. Stepping inside, we were enveloped by the comfort of the familiar, yet the echoes of our encounter pulsed just beneath the surface of our consciousness. A constant reminder that our world had irrevocably changed. The physical remnants of our experience lay before us. Tangible evidence that we had endured was not a figment of our imagination, but a disturbing intrusion into our reality. Betty's dress, her favorite one, now bore a tear, a jagged line that spoke volumes of the unseen turmoil we had faced. My shoes, once meticulously cared for, showed signs of wear, scuffed and scraped as if I had traversed miles of rough terrain. But it was our watches, their hands frozen in time, that served as the most haunting reminder of our lost hours. They had ceased to function at the moment of our encounter, marking the point where time itself seemed to fracture. In a bid to grasp the unexplainable, we turned to a compass, an instrument of navigation and orientation. Its needle, which should have pointed steadfastly north, instead spun wildly, a dance of confusion and chaos. This erratic behavior, devoid of any logical explanation, was a silent witness to the unseen forces at play, forces that had swept us into their embrace and altered the very fabric of our reality. Our confusion deepened, a mire of questions without answers. How could mere hours contain such a profound mystery, a void in our memories that no amount of reasoning could fill? The home that had once been our refuge now seemed to close in on us, the walls echoing with the silent questions that plagued our minds. In the days that followed, we saw explanations in the mundane, a desperate attempt to anchor ourselves in the familiar. Yet, The more we searched, the more elusive the answers became. The physical evidence of our ordeal was undeniable, a testament to the reality of our experience, yet it offered no solace, no key to unlock the mystery of the missing time. Betty, ever the seeker, turned to the local library, delving into books and articles on UFO sightings and extraterrestrial encounters. It was a search for context, for any shred of evidence that we were not alone in our experience, that others too had glimpsed the veil between the worlds and survived to tell the tale. The strange, the unexplainable, had intruded into our lives, leaving us adrift in a sea of uncertainty. Yet it was in this search for understanding that we found a semblance of purpose, a thread to follow through the labyrinth of our experience. The missing time, a gap in our collective memory, became the focus of our quest, a puzzle that we were determined to solve. As we pieced together the fragments of our encounter, a picture began to emerge, not of answers, but of deeper questions. What had happened to us during those lost hours? Who were the beings that had observed us from their spinning disk? And what did they want from us? These questions became the driving force behind our search, propelling us forward on a journey that would take us to the edges of our understanding and beyond. The missing time, a void in our past, was now the key to unlocking the mysteries of our encounter, a doorway into a world that defied explanation. Our home, once a haven of normalcy, had become the ground zero of our investigation, the place where we would begin to unravel the enigma of our abduction. The evidence of our ordeal, inscribed upon our belongings and etched into our very souls, was a constant reminder that the truth was out there, waiting to be discovered. As we stood together, united in our quest, we knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges. But we also knew that the search for answers was not just about understanding what had happened to us. It was about reclaiming our lives from the shadows of the unknown. The missing time, a gap in our existence, had opened a door to a new reality, one that we were determined to explore no matter where it led. In the weeks following our harrowing encounter, our home transformed into a sanctuary of research and reflection. Betty, with her insatiable thirst for knowledge and understanding, became a beacon of light in our shared darkness. She pored over books on the unexplained, her mind a whirlwind of theories and possibilities, each page turned a step closer to the answers we so desperately sought. It was during this time of intense inquiry that Betty's dreams began to take on a new significance. Night after night she awoke, her breath short and her eyes wide with the recollection of vivid, unsettling visions. These dreams, or perhaps more accurately, memories, offered a fragmented glimpse into the abyss of our missing hours. They were vivid in detail, recounting an experience so extraordinary it defied belief. Betty spoke of a spacecraft, of beings not of this world, and of examinations that probed not just our bodies, but the very essence of our beings. My own skepticism battled with the undeniable truth of Betty's dreams. How could the contents of her subconscious so closely mirror the fragmented memories that lingered at the edges of my own consciousness? It was a question that gnawed at me, a puzzle that demanded resolution. Our quest for answers led us to Dr. Benjamin Simon, a psychiatrist renowned for his work with hypnosis. It was a step into the unknown, a leap of faith driven by our desperate need for understanding. Under Dr. Simon's guidance, we embarked on a journey into the depths of our own minds, a voyage that promised to unlock the secrets of our lost hours. I found myself in Dr. Benjamin Johnson's office, the air thick with anticipation and a subtle undercurrent of fear. Dr. Johnson, a man whose presence exuded calm and professionalism, prepared me for the journey into my subconscious. As he spoke, his voice a steady, soothing cadence, I felt the walls of reality begin to blur. The edges of my consciousness softening under the weight of the hypnotic suggestion. He was guiding me back to that night, the moment when the unknown pierced through the veil of my ordinary life. The memory of the spacecraft, previously obscured by the fog of my conscious denial, emerged with a clarity that was both terrifying and mesmerizing. I could see it again, hanging in the sky, an ominous harbinger of the unimaginable ordeal to come. As Dr. Johnson's voice anchored me in the memory, the fear that had gripped me that night enveloped me once more. The The spacecraft with its unnatural stillness seemed to beckon us, pulling Betty and me into its narrative, a story written in the stars and yet unfathomable to the human mind. The beings. The beings were unlike anything I had envisioned life beyond Earth to be. They were gray, their bodies slender and fragile looking. Yet their presence was commanding, imbued with an intelligence and purpose that transcended their physical form. They communicated not with words, but with thoughts. Their messages clear in my mind as if spoken aloud. It was telepathy, a form of connection that was as efficient as it was unsettling. Betty and I were separated upon being taken aboard, a decision made without consultation, but understood as necessary. My heart ached at the thought of her alone, facing these unknown entities without my support. Yet, there was no time to dwell on this separation as I was led, or rather directed, into an examination room. A gesture from one of the beings urged me onto a metal table, a cold, unforgiving surface that would soon bear witness to the most invasive examination of my life. My clothes were removed, not roughly, but with a precision that suggested familiarity with the process. Then, the examination began in earnest. Hair was plucked, skin was scraped, and nails were clipped. Each sample meticulously collected on a clear material that resembled glass slides. The sensation of needles connected to long wires, probing at various points in my body was disconcerting, a violation of my physical self that was paradoxically clinical in its execution. Throughout this ordeal, one being, who I came to think of as the leader, observed intently. There was a curiosity there, a desire for understanding that felt almost academic. Yet, it was the discovery of my dentures that elicited a reaction bordering on excitement from them. Betty, despite the gravity of our situation, found humor in their fascination, her laughter a brief respite from the surreal horror of our circumstance. It was then, amidst the cold clinical expiration of our humanity, that Betty's voice broke through the silence. Her question, innocent and profound, was met with a response that haunts me to this day.
If you don't know where you are, then there wouldn't be any point in telling you where I am from.
The being's refusal to disclose our location, followed by the presentation of a star map, was a moment of connection, a bridge between our worlds that was as baffling as it was enlightening. Suddenly, as if a switch had been flipped, my memory plunged into darkness. The next thing I knew, Betty and I were back in our car, the night around us silent save for the sound of our breathing and the hum of the engine. The spacecraft, the beings, the examination room, all had vanished, leaving behind a void in our memory that no amount of consciousness effort could fill. Dr. Johnson's voice, a lifeline back to the present, gently coaxed me from the depths of my recollection. As I surfaced from the hypnotic state, the weight of what I had remembered pressed down on me with an unbearable gravity. The journey into my subconscious had unearthed truths that were as terrifying as they were transformative. A narrative of abduction that challenged the very essence of our understanding of the universe and our place within it. The memory of our abduction now laid bare was a testament to the extraordinary and the unexplainable. It was a story that, once hidden in the shadows of forgetfulness, now demanded to be acknowledged, a truth that, no matter how outlandish, was ours to bear. The hypnosis sessions were emotionally charged, a roller coaster of revelation and realization. As Dr. Simon's voice guided us, we traversed the landscape of our subconscious, unearthing memories that had been buried beneath the layers of fear and uncertainty. The experience was cathartic, a release of pent-up emotions that had simmered beneath the surface since that fateful night. For Betty, the sessions were a vindication of her dreams, a confirmation that what she had experienced in the realm of sleep was rooted in reality. Her recollections under hypnosis mirrored her nocturnal visions with uncanny accuracy, painting a picture of our abduction that was both fascinating and terrifying. My own sessions brought forth memories I had struggled to suppress, details of the encounter that resonated with Betty's account. The beings, the spacecraft, the examinations, all were laid bare, a narrative that echoed Betty's in its essence, if not in every detail. Yet, it was in the discrepancies between our recollections that the truth of our experience began to emerge. Dr. Simon, ever the meticulous observer, noted these variances, suggesting that they were not contradictions but rather complementary pieces of a larger puzzle. It was clear that we had each experienced the abduction through the lens of our own perceptions, our individual responses coloring the memories that we unearthed. The sessions with Dr. Simon became our beacon of hope, a path to reclaiming the missing pieces of our lives. Through the hypnosis, we were able to piece together a narrative of our encounter, a story that, while extraordinary, offered a semblance of closure. The memories we uncovered were a map to understanding, a guide that helped us navigate the tumultuous waters of our experience. Yet even as we made progress in our search for answers, new questions arose. What was the purpose of our abduction? What did the beings hope to achieve through their examinations? And most importantly, were we alone in our experience? Or were there others out there who had faced similar ordeals? As we continued to work with Dr. Simon, we found not just healing, but a new purpose. The shadows of doubt that had once clouded my mind began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of wonder and a determination to uncover the truth. Our ordeal had opened our eyes to a universe teeming with mysteries, and we were determined to explore every last one of them. The search for answers, once a path to understanding our own experience, had become a journey of discovery, a quest to unveil the secrets hidden in the stars. The tranquility of our quest for answers was shattered when our story, once whispered in the confines of our home in Dr. Simon's office, burst into the glaring light of public scrutiny. The catalyst was an article in the Boston Traveler, a piece that painted our encounter in bold strokes, drawing the curious, the skeptical, and the believer alike into the orbit of our experience. Suddenly, we found ourselves not just survivors of an extraordinary event, but subjects of a narrative that spiraled beyond our control. This exposure was a double-edged sword. On one hand, it validated our experience, casting it into the realm of the extraordinary and confirming that our story was worth telling. It brought others into our fold, individuals who had experienced similar encounters, who had seen the same unexplainable lights, or who had felt the same inexplicable loss of time. Their stories, echoing our own, offered a sense of camaraderie, a shared understanding that we were not alone in our quest for answers. On the other hand, the glare of the public eye brought with it a tide of skepticism. Critics and debunkers emerged from the woodwork, armed with explanations that ranged from the plausible to the absurd. Our encounter was dissected and analyzed, subjected to a scrutiny that often bordered on the invasive. We were accused of seeking fame, of fabricating our story for attention, or of being duped by the misidentification of natural phenomena. The skepticism was a bitter pill to swallow. Each doubt cast upon our story felt like a personal affront, a denial of the profound and life-altering experience we had endured. Yet, it also served as a crucible, tempering our resolve and sharpening our determination to seek the truth. We know what we had experienced, and no amount of skepticism could erase the memories unearthed in Dr. Simon's office or the physical evidence that bore silent testament to our ordeal. Amid the whirlwind of attention, our story took on a life of its own. The Boston Traveler's article was just the beginning. Interviews followed, then talks at local UFO study groups, and eventually a book, The Interrupted Journey, which chronicled our encounter in painstaking detail. Our story, once a private struggle, had become a public fascination, a beacon for those seeking to understand the unexplained. As our story spread, so too did the discourse around UFO sightings and alien encounters. Our experience became a reference point, a case study that was both lauded and criticized. The publicity brought us into contact with a community of researchers, scientists, and enthusiasts, each offering their own theories and insights into the phenomenon of alien abduction. Yet with this recognition came a profound sense of responsibility. We understood that our story was more than just a personal account. It was a piece of a larger puzzle, a contribution to the ongoing conversation about extraterrestrial life and humanity's place in the cosmos. We felt a duty to present our experience honestly and openly, to engage with both believers and skeptics alike in a dialogue that was respectful and informed. The public eye, with its scrutiny and its spotlight, was a challenging arena. It tested our resolve, our credibility, and our faith in our own experience. Yet, it also provided a platform and opportunity to share our story with the world, to contribute to the growing body of evidence surrounding UFO encounters, and to advocate for serious and scientific investigation into the phenomenon. Our journey from the privacy of our own encounter to the public stage of debate and discussion was fraught with challenges. Yet it was a path we walked with determination, driven by the conviction that our story, like so many others, deserved to be heard. In the face of skepticism and scrutiny, we stood firm. Our experience a beacon for those navigating the mysterious and often misunderstood realm of the unexplained. As the dust settled on the whirlwind of publicity and public scrutiny, Betty and I found ourselves navigating a new reality. The intense period of our lives, marked by our abduction and the subsequent journey into the public eye, had transformed us in ways we could scarcely have imagined. We were no longer just a couple with an extraordinary story. We had become symbols, avatars for the countless individuals seeking answers in the vast, uncharted territories of the unknown. Betty's passion for understanding the phenomena that had so dramatically impacted our lives only deepened. She became a tireless researcher in the field of ufology, her curiosity undimmed by the skeptics and detractors. Her dedication was not just about seeking validation for our own experience, but about contributing to a greater body of knowledge, a repository of encounters and evidence that could one day peel back the veil on one of humanity's greatest mysteries. For me, the journey was more introspective. The encounter had opened a door to a universe filled with wonders and horrors beyond comprehension, and I found myself perpetually caught between the desire to understand and the fear of what understanding might reveal. I spent my days pondering the mysteries of the cosmos, the possibility of other worlds, and the nature of the beings that had briefly intersected with our lives. It was a quest that consumed me, a never-ending search for answers that I knew might never come. The years passed, and with them came a sense of perspective. Our encounter, while extraordinary, was but a single thread in the vast tapestry of the human experience. We had faced the unknown, had our reality irrevocably altered, and had emerged not unscathed, but undeniably changed. We had lived through fear and wonder, had sought the truth in a world that often seemed content with illusion, and in doing so, had discovered a strength we never knew we possessed. In the end, our lives, like our encounter, remain a testament to the unexplained. Betty's dedication and my own reflections have woven a narrative that, while deeply personal, is also universally resonant. It is a story of fear and wonder, of skepticism and belief, of the search for truth in a world filled with mysteries. And though the years may pass and our voices may fade, the journey we embarked on that fateful night continues, a beacon for all those who dare to believe that we are not alone in this vast, mysterious universe.